website. So the benefits of multimedia are that any website will rank better and it makes information clearer, which is why it ranks better. Remember, search engines are just trying to answer people's questions. So sites that use a lot of multimedia are usually doing a better job of giving clear information and answering questions. And of course, it's more engaging, and of course, users can also upload their own multimedia. Of course, another benefit, of course, is that with the graphics that you make, you can spread those out across social media, which we'll also come on to. So beyond the obvious of showing your business or whatever it is that you're offering, what can you include? The obvious is the content that you've already created. So if you're writing about attractions or pictures of foods that you've reviewed or restaurants, locales, anything that you've already put up on the site, then you put the multimedia on those pages, obviously. But you can also make them in a way that's good for sharing everything, with a view to sharing things on social media. So if you go to a restaurant and make a short video about the food, review that, make sure it's something you can put out across social media. Get used to that, because it's not hard. Every time there's some event or something happens that's interesting, or there's something new on the menu, or whatever happens that's new, it can be a piece of multimedia that's then on the website and it's shared to bring people to the website. One thing that work quite well are speciality maps. If they answer a question, that means you've actually got to draw it yourself or make it with some software, not just stick some pins on a Google map, because people are already walking around looking for things to do and look for places to eat on Google Maps themselves. So you need to maybe go the extra mile, but you can answer a question with a map. So somebody could say, well, what can we do in an afternoon? And Google Maps can kind of answer that, but it's not as easy. People need to kind of scroll around, and then they don't know if the site's really any good, how to get to the site, is there an easy bus? So that could be a map. Or where are the local bars? Yeah, true that you can see that on Google Maps also, and there'll be reviews on the maps, but is it actually, what bars can you go to in an evening if you want to try 3 or 4, or maybe a line of speciality places you could go to which are a bit different, something that only you can really know. And of course, these single images are perfect for sharing. They'll put your own location on as a start or a finish point. Link to yourself, so the maps are clickable or have got the address where people can come and find you, and then put an attribution copyright on. So make sure the copyright, it's not just a general all rights reserved. You state specifically it's attribution only, meaning people are welcome to share it, but they can't change it or take off the link. Now, of course, if that's a really good piece of information that is perfect for sharing, when you're making it, think, will people share this? So then you put it out across social media. And also, don't forget any interesting parties. So if, for example, you're including other businesses like bars or restaurants, then they could be quite happy sharing that on their own social media, which will go out across to their networks. And they could well also be happy putting that on their website, which they're welcome to do because you've got the correct copyright on, and they can't take off the link to your website. And also, don't forget the tourist board if it's of general interest, because then you'll be getting an inbound link from a government website, which is also very helpful concerning your ranking. Another thing that's very good, because it's very shareable, are infographics, which aren't too hard to create with something like Canva. Again, you can integrate the content that you've already got. So if you've written about, say, 3 or 4 interesting places that people could go to in the local area, for example, that works great as a list. So you can then say, the 4 best places to go in this area, or the 4 places that only locals know about. Ask relevant groups for information. So if you join local groups on Facebook or historical groups or anything like that, tell them what you're doing and ask for any ideas. The top 10 lists work especially well with this kind of graphic. Another thing, if you're looking for local sites, don't forget, always keep using your librarian. Ask them for some ideas of what people could see, or ask your tourist board. And then don't forget to get back to the tourist board and get an inbound link for them. Again, everything you do, it goes on your website and it's perfect for sharing, which is pretty much the point of it. A huge factor in ranking nowadays is video, and a lot of people stay away from that because they're scared. But actually, the fact that you're not doing a Hollywood style production, that's really to your benefit. If you can do something that's reasonable, it feels like a YouTube video because you're not, the Hilton or a Marriott or some huge multimedia bureau. A smaller business, you're giving people the correct expectation. It matters if it's engaging, if the content is good. And of course, it's also very shareable. So just keep that basic. Don't be worried about basic video from your phone. On Android, I'm using Power Director. I'm using the free version. I'm using it to make this course. But I've also made a lot of videos with intros, outros, graphics, text that scrolls across the screen, everything that you really need. And it's free and it works really, really well. So just jump in. So obviously, if there's any kind of event that you're involved in, do that and then share it. Make sure when you say it's a party, get people's name, friend people on Facebook or on Instagram, or connect to them and say, oh, look, we're taking this now. Can I send you it? Connect to me. And then when you send that out, they'll radiate that out. And of course, put your link in any description so people can come back to you. Involve guests also. If they're taking something, if something's going on, a lot of guests have got a good camera and they're surprisingly savvy on making these videos. A lot of people will make a video. To me, it looks like something that you could put on the Hollywood screen. They've got very good phones, and they'll be quite happy then to actually send you something or to put something on your website when that's possible. And then they could let their friends know that it's up there. So when you put pictures, graphics, maps, or whatever onto a website, a few tips about the integration. One is to rename files before you upload them. So when you make something on a camera or with Power Director, then the file name is often a long just list of numbers for reference. So what you'll do is you'll change it to something that's relevant to what it is. Include a keyword. You already know from your research the keywords you're going for to make it clear to Google and the search engines what questions does this answer. Now, when you look at a search page, when you type in a question to Google, it often shows you websites, ads, but also videos and pictures. And it's getting what those pictures are from what the uploader types in about that. So it wants to know, can this picture or video answer a question? So then, when people answer this question, maybe if your website doesn't actually rank, but a video or a picture does, if that's the best that Google could find and it thinks it might answer that question. So make sure that you're giving the search engines the information. This is what this multimedia is. So rename the files before you upload, because in some instances where you've uploaded it, it doesn't allow a rename or it discounts any rename. If you make any kind of video, always put that on YouTube for two reasons. One is that YouTube will optimize it for playback. It does its magic and stuff, and it will know what device people are looking at the video on, and they will make sure that it plays very well. Also, if you integrate a player on your website, it makes your website slower down. It slows down. Right, but much better to play it via Google. Use keywords in the anchor and surrounding text. So when you introduce a picture and people need to click on it, it's going to go somewhere else. Make sure in that sentence you're referring to it as with keywords in the sentence. So if you want to visit our local picnic park, then click on a picture of our recent outing with friends or whatever. So you've got the name of it in the sentence and a keyword in the park. So you could say, for example, this local picnic park is one of the best tourist spots in our town, and the word tourist spots is the actual link. So then you've got the word tourist as a link. Fill in the metadata. So when you upload something to a website, there's a certain amount of metadata which is basically hidden information that the people don't see when they look at your website. It's hidden and only the search engine sees it. And basically you just fill it in to directly tell the search engines this is what the picture is. Now, if you're writing a website in pure code, you would just write this piece of code yourself. Generally, if you're using some kind of a builder like Squarespace or WordPress, then when you upload, you'll be asked various questions. What is this? Or there'll be little boxes for you to fill in with a title and some keywords and a description. So I use WordPress, so I will show you how I fill that box in on WordPress. If you're using any kind of basic builder, then it would be fairly similar to this. It should be fairly intuitive. And of course, if you're writing a website in pure code, then I'm sure you already know how to do this, how you filter code in, and you don't need my advice. So let's take a look at how this is accomplished in WordPress. Okay, so this is WordPress, and I'm looking at the actual site about multimedia that we're looking at now. So let's flick this over to the visual editor. So this is the top of the web page. So say I'm going to add media to this spot here where the cursor is. So at the top left, I click this add media button, and then I go into my media library where all my pictures are, and I choose the picture I want. Just pick any picture for the sake of argument so that you can see what WordPress will present me with to fill in the metadata. So when I fill in this data, it's going to create the hidden tag for me. So first of all, the URL is where the picture is stored. I can't change that, but the title here, that is going to become a file name. So put that down. Don't keyword stuff it. Do something reasonably descriptive. So like if it's a place, put the place name. If it's a keyword, if it's say a food review, you could maybe then write something like the name of the restaurant or the name of the dish, something that is reasonable. The caption will go underneath the actual picture itself. It's not necessary if you've mentioned what it is in the text anyway, because it's going to then just be repeating. But if you do put a caption, obviously, you will use keywords. Don't stuff. Make a sensible sounding sentence, but with keywords in. Alt text is what a web browser displays when it can't show the picture for some reason. So maybe the website's very slow loading, or it's a blind person using a special screen reader. Then you need to actually describe what the picture is. So you don't just copy the caption. You imagine that it's a blind person you're writing for, but you'll still put keywords in there. The description, usually that's around the same for me as I put into the alt tag. And then you've got these other display options which aren't metadata. Those ones I've just covered is the metadata. So make sure you put keywords there so that Google knows what it is. And the benefit there is, yes, it's just making it even clearer to the search engines what your page and pages are about. And also there's the chance that when people ask a question, the picture or the video itself, separate from your website, will appear in the search results. So that's just a double whammy. Plus, of course, the benefits of multimedia are they go out across social media, which we'll be covering elsewhere.